Welcome back to Man vs. Meeple, the show where we talk about all things board game related. Today we have a Kickstarter preview for Tournament of Towers from Iron Hippo Games. This is a little bit of a different game for us. We don't do a lot of family games, we don't do a lot of dexterity games, and this is definitely both. We wanted to get it to the table and do this because...
Well, it's important to have families play games, for sure.
It's a great title to bring people to the table, for sure.
Yeah, so this one is a very simple concept. You are building a tower up on a base, and the player that gets the most points at the end of 2 rounds wins the game. It can be played in multiple different ways, though. You can play it competitively, cooperatively, and family variants. We're going to talk to you guys about the basic structure and how the game works, though. There's a stack of cards, and each of these cards represents one of the different types of building structures in the game. There's 60 building structures. 40 of them are stone, which are all your gray pieces. Yep. And then you have your gold pieces, which there's 20 of those. Your stone structures aren't worth anything. However, they are taller, allow you to build your tower up higher. And your gold ones are worth victory points at the end of the game at a 1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, exactly. The cool thing about this game, I think, is that unlike a lot of these games, you're just stacking. There's a timer. You're trying to stack high. You're trying to stack quickly. This one adds a few more gameplay elements in terms of how it scores. You're going to score for its height, but also the bonus points for the yellow, and as well as
your figure,
your architect.
So how the game works, though, is at the start of the game, every player at the table plays 2 to 4. Will take 7 cards from the stack, and then players will draft 1 card at a time, picking one of those, putting them face down in front of them, and then passing the rest to the player on their left. Second round, you'll do it in the opposite direction. Once you have those 7 cards, you will then place them out in front of you from left to right in any order that you so wish, but they have to make a continuous string. This is the order upon which you have to actually build your tower.
Yeah, this is kind of cool because it brings in a little bit more of a long-term planning thing. In a lot of these games, you're kind of finding out what piece you're going to get and then doing something with it. Almost a tactical or a tactics sort of game. This one has a little bit more strategy. I mean, it's hard to say hardcore strategy when it comes to a game like this, but you really can plan things out, and that drafting mechanic, you're seeing a lot of cards.
Yeah.
So it's always a lot of fun too when you're sticking people with some of these crazy gold pieces at the end, because some of those are
impossible to build upon.
You can't build on them for sure. They're either going on the top of your tower or tucked somewhere away at the bottom.
After a player has placed all of their cards in front of them, they're going to grab the piece for each of those cards. If you look at the cards themselves, they tell you which piece it correlates to. And then any player at the table is going to roll the die. That die will create an event that will happen. And those events allow you to draw new cards and either have to insert them into different locations or trade with other players or move a card from your number 7 spot to your number 2 spot or so forth, which will drastically change the way you're building that particular tower.
And some again, a few little decisions to make, because do I get rid of a piece in the middle of my tower for fear that Jeremy gives me one of the impossible gold pieces, which would not be great to put in the middle. So like I said, the game has a few more decisions than your typical stacking dexterity game, and I think we're going to try it a little bit here. Jeremy's taking his first 3 cards.
Once you're done collecting all the pieces, I only put 3 pieces here. You'll build them from left to right. You'll place them anywhere on your base. Each piece that you place after that can be placed on top, anywhere actually, as long as it's connecting to your base structure. And you can build them on their sides, top, it doesn't matter, whichever way you so wish to build them.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're choosing, do I continue to try to stack to get the tallest tower, but very soon you'll realize you do risk toppling the whole thing if you get a little too greedy.
Right. So say this was the end of all of my pieces, and I've placed all of them. You compare your tower compared to everyone else at the table. Whoever has the highest tower at the end of round 1, way to go. Will score 3 victory points. Also, each player will score 1 victory point for every gold piece they have, including their architect. Now, the architect cannot go on your base, and your architect, once you're done with the round, will come back to you, and he has to be placed on a higher section in the second round. The second round, you're again doing a draft, but you're building upon the pieces that you already have.
Yeah, that's the kind of... When I realized that the first time we played, I was like, wait, the second round, we don't start over? We continue stacking? So that's definitely going to play a factor in how you build that first round.
Yeah, so a lot of the risk-reward is taking and drafting those gold pieces. Obviously, you want them because they give you victory points for everyone you have. But you don't want to be stuck with all of them because, like we said, you cannot build upon these. A lot of these are, these are all prototype components too.
Yeah, we
so they
should
have
say
some
that.
flaking on them and they don't actually balance really well. But that's
why
typical
mine fell just now.
Yeah,
actually.
any kind of 3D printing is going to do that. Yeah. You had all grays. So the strategy comes in taking enough of those to build high enough, but also not taking too many of them where you're not able to build at all.
Yeah, and if you can see here, even though we said these are 3D printed, these are really cool and interesting pieces.
Yeah, they are.
Especially the gold pieces. The finished version should be even better looking and more solid.
So that is Tournament of Towers by Iron Hippo Games. If this is something that interests you guys, check it out on Kickstarter. It is up now. Make sure if you have questions, make them in the comments below. We will answer them for you. Subscribe to us, please. It helps us out a lot. Follow us on Twitter.
Facebook,
like us on Facebook.
everything.
And we will catch you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
This Kickstarter preview has been brought to you by Man vs. Meeple in sponsorship with Quartermaster Logistics. Take a look at all of their fulfillment solutions at qmlogistics.com.